Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Informal back with a new Mr. Informal podcast. This is the Mr. Informal podcast 218, the 218 edition. That's correct. I hope you are healthy. I hope you are doing well today, wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Hope you are enjoying life. Certainly, I go by the name of Mr. Informal. Please do not forget to add me on Instagram, MISTERINFORMAL, and then check out my website, mrinformal.com, MRINFORMAL.com. So, what do we have for this number 218 podcast? Number one is Shopify revenues goes up, and yet they lay off people. Number two, what is this blue checks happening? Even Gmail is getting in on it too. Number three, artificial intelligence worries people. Certainly worries me. Last but not least, the Google Pixel Foldable or Google foldable phone has just been announced. And so we're going to talk about that. So those are the four topics for this Mr. Informal podcast 218. And so let's go ahead and start the podcast. On to the first topic from retaildive.com, titled Shopify reports $1.5 billion in revenue, lays off 20% of workforce. E-commerce platforms Shopify on Thursday reported $1.5 billion in revenue for the first quarter ending March 31. That's up 25% from a year ago. The company also reported $717 million in gross profit and operating loss of $193 million. Okay, so they made money. The operating loss represents 13% of revenue. Okay, up from $98 million or 8% revenue a year ago. Well, you made more. Also, Thursday, the company announced it's selling the majority of its logistics business to Flexport. As a result of that change, 20% of Shopify staff are being laid off effective immediately. Harish Abbott, co-founder and CEO of Deliver, will lead the transition of Shopify logistics business to Flexport under the guidance of Dave Clark, Flexport CEO. The deal expected to close in the second quarter, subject to certain conditions and regulatory approval. Later in the article, logistics was clearly worthwhile side quest for us and started to create the conditions for our main quest to succeed. From the beginning, we worked with lots of partners in all aspects on the same problem: warehouses, robotics, transportation, cross-dock freight, Lutke said. Well, that's because you are reactionary instead of being proactive as to what happened in the port and logistics. I also have to say that Shopify made a lot of money, and yet they laid off a lot of people. It's pretty obvious that they're just catering to the investors. Think about it. Your operating loss was only 13% of your revenue of $1.5 billion, and yet you're laying off people. How many they're laying off? Basically, 20% of Shopify staff are being laid off effective immediately. Wow. Shopify employed about 11,600 people as of December 31, 2022. So 20% of reduction of that to that number will represent 2,300 potential job cuts. Could you believe that? You see, anytime people always buzz about Shopify, they're just another corporation out there thinking of not their employees, especially when their employees were working at home to meet their goals during the pandemic, but it's pretty obvious that they don't really care about them. So they said that those affected the current round of layoffs will retain their medical and employee assistance benefits during the severance period. Look, I don't know the details of the severance package, but it's pretty obvious that they care about their bottom line. They only care about their investors. If you make that much revenue, why wouldn't you keep your employees? Let me guess, in the next year or maybe later this year, you're gonna hire more people. What's the point here? Lay off and then hire, and then lay off and hire. It's like the cycle goes all over again. This is why, many people don't like working in corporate, because they're just all talk. I mean, if we're really gonna get down to revenue, you need as many people as you can to be efficient, and not only that, to actually create the customer service and also create the revenue that you need, because to create those revenue, you need people. But apparently, this company sees otherwise. On to the second topic from hypebeast.com. Gmail's roll out its own blue verification check system. Everyone's getting a blue verification check. Everybody's getting blue checks these days. I wish it was a different type of check, helping users differentiate real companies and scammers. So, Gmail has decided to take a page from social media platform's book, which is Twitter. The email service has rolled out blue checks that designate if a company is verified. Companies will be able to verify their identity with Google, after which the blue check will be shown next to their name. When the recipient hovers over the check, they'll see this mention: the sender to this email has been verified that they own the domain and email and the logo in the profile image. In 2021, Gmail began requiring companies to verify themselves their logo in order to display a brand logo as avatar in their emails. Strong email authentications help users and email security systems identify and stop spam. So look, everyone's getting blue checks these days. Maybe Snapchat's getting blue checks. Don't be surprised if Facebook does it. Probably does. Instagram, Instagram already does it. I mean, TikTok probably does it. Maybe they'll have it soon. And since this is Gmail, don't be surprised if other email platforms out there will have some kind of blue checks or authentication system. Apparently, this whole blue check and authentication system is going to be the trend out there. Screw, this metaverse, this whole digital AI world. We're done with Chat GPT. We're done with that. It's all about blue checks nowadays. The blue checks is more of a social status nowadays. How you gotta climb up, how you gotta have that blue check to make sure that you're authentic, you are real, you're not playing around, you're not some kind of scammer. But apparently this blue checks, instead of actually not being a scammer, this blue check system is more of a social status. It's not even about verifying if you're real or not. It's just more of a social thing. It's like, oh, I'm real, That's all it is to it. I'm not fake. Everyone's gonna be on the blue check bandwagon, just like how Facebook used to be just for college students. And now when college students had this, it's only available for college students, and then when Facebook opened it up, this whole mess suddenly became what is now Facebook, or now called Meta. So what does this really mean in the end? Well, it really means that it's gonna spread throughout this. It's gonna spread throughout tech, the whole email platform, and other email hosts out there is gonna have some blue checks. It's pretty obvious that other social media is gonna have blue checks. YouTube also gonna have blue checks. I mean, Loramble's gonna have blue checks. Again, everyone's gonna have blue checks out there, but some may have to pay, and some may just be free to make sure that you are real. But it just really depends. But I really think that people gotta be careful at making yourself as a blue check type of person, because again, your data is in there and you never know who's watching out there. For me, I don't trust the government. I don't even trust Google. Whatever Google is doing, they're always gonna have your data, and they're gonna use it against you. Sounds like the Miranda law, right? Well, it's starting to be that way. Also, don't be surprised if AI certainly have blue checks these days. Heck, AI, you don't even know what's real and what's not these days. On to the third topic. Talking about AI, well, from hypebeast.com, Godfather of AI, artificial intelligence, resigns from role at Google, expresses worries about artificial intelligence. Wow, Dr. Godfrey Hinton, a scientist who's known one of the godfathers of AI technology, has quit his job at Google in order to speak freely about technology's risk in an interview with the New York Times. It's hard to see how you can prevent the bad actors from using it for bad things. Gee, really? You only thought of that? Look at how AI technology was 5 years ago and how it is now. Take the difference and propagate it forwards. That's scary. No shit. So, in 2012, as a professor in Toronto, Hinton and two of his students, Alex and Ilya, the latter of whom is currently ChatGPT creator, OpenAI's chief scientist, created a neural network that could teach itself how to identify objects like cats, dogs, flowers after being digitally fed thousands of photos. Where did those photos come from? Oh yeah, from us users. Later that year, Google acquired a company that Dr. Hinton and his students started for $44 million. Then in 2018, Dr. Hinton and two other scientists were awarded the Turing Award. So, in New York Times today, Cade Metz implies that I left Google so that I could criticize Google. Actually, I left so that I could talk about the dangers of AI without considering how it has impacted Google. Google has acted very responsibly. Really now? Google has acted responsibly. Yeah, sure. So, I've been talking about this for so many times and people are just realizing what's going on. Like I said, I worry about my privacy. I worry about my data. Because all these AI is probably going to be using it against you. Not only that, you see how the chat system is working. You see how the automated customer service is working. How the automated chat service is working. I mean, making music out of AI, making paintings out of AI, making Photoshop out of AI. I mean, what else is going to go down? I mean, it's learning itself. Sooner or later, the AI is going to control the whole computer system. And now you understand why a lot of tech out there don't want anything to be centralized. And that's good for Bitcoin because Bitcoin is decentralized depending on your wallet, but whatever, that's a whole other discussion out there. I mean, also, this man is just talking about this now. He quits now. He couldn't quit 5 years ago, 10 years ago. He should have quit a long time ago. He knew the worries. We all knew the worries. I mean, we've seen it from the movies. We've seen it from novels. I mean, I can go on the list. We've seen this in action. And for this guy to say Google has acted very responsibly. Really? That's kind of BS, but it's pretty obvious that Google bought his company, so he made a lot of money and he doesn't want to make Google mad. But it's pretty obvious he already let the monster out of the cage and now he can't put the monster in his cage. He can't basically destroy this. So much reminds me of Terminator movies. You never know what's gonna happen. And you don't even know who you're talking to on the other line. It could be an AI. But it's pretty obvious there's just too much of a risk here. The moment that terrorists gets their hands on this, well, it's over. I mean, that's all I can say about it. It is over. Well, Google has announced the Google Pixel Fold. Basically a foldable phone. Looks like the Samsung Fold. It's pretty obvious that a lot of companies is going to be on that fold or flip trend. I do miss the flip phones, especially when you want to hang up on people. Click or plop, done. But on to the bigger matters. This is just a trend to come, okay? New technology, new ways of design, It's pretty obvious that phone these days are gonna be up to $1,000 or more, because you can do a lot more on your phone than basically more computer or whatever at home. Any type of tech. So don't be surprised. Again, the design is very similar to the Samsung Fold. When it's folded, you have a screen on the front, and then when you fold it, you have that big screen in the inside. So, and then on the back is your camera system. So, I mean, I'm excited to what kind of companies out there that will be doing the fold or flip. I know Motorola has done it. Samsung is the front runner on it. Huawei is doing it. A lot of Chinese companies are doing it. Now Pixel is gonna do it. It's pretty obvious that people are just waiting for the iPhone to do it. I mean, I don't really care, because I think the technology that Samsung has done is really great. As much as I do not like Samsung and their behind the scenes shenanigans, those backdoor shenanigans talk that they're doing, a lot of corruptions. I mean, in terms of electronics, especially on the phone, they are killing it. But it's pretty obvious that these foldable phones are gonna be $1,000 or more. Don't be surprised if we do reach a $2,000 phone, whether it be a foldable or whatever it may be. So, the future of mobile phones will be foldables. I mean, that's all there is to it. There will be, front screen non-foldable phones, or just a candy bar phones, whatever you want to call it. And for ergonomics, I do think that a candy bar phone is superior for ease of use and convenience. But in terms of efficiency in workloads, I think a foldable is just better, because you can do more with a bigger screen. But again, the price will be higher. Obviously, Snapdragon is going to work on it. A lot of Samsung and even LG OLEDs, micro LEDs are going to be. A lot of screen manufacturers are going to be very busy. A lot of innovation. I'm excited. A lot of inventions, obviously, and I hope to maybe in the future, hopefully I'm still alive, I could see a very, very thin or paper or even cardstock thin phone where you can just fold it and that's it, or even just a wallet size foldable, and then boom, that's it. I mean, someday, I hope maybe flying cars could also exist in my lifetime or in our lifetime. But Google finally get in on the foldable, so it's pretty obvious that they're gonna create Android OS into more foldable, even though Samsung was already ahead of it. But now Google is finally turning up the heat, or turning up the knob, to make sure that Android is also going to be adapted to foldable. Well, we'll see how that's going to go. And so that basically concludes this Mr. Informal Podcast 218. Yes, 218. Hopefully you listened to me from beginning to end, and if you did, I really do appreciate it. And hopefully I gave you some news that you haven't heard before, new news, and hopefully I gave you some insights. Please do not forget to add me on Instagram, MISTERINFORMAL, and then check out my website, mrinformal.com, mrinformal.com. I hope you have a great morning, great afternoon, great evening, and great night. And I will see you in the next Mr. Informal Podcast. Bye-bye.